everybody, my name is Hannah Joy Gebrselassie, and I am a journalist and community advocate based in Atlanta, Georgia. Just want to wish you all a blessed and happy career day. I know this is virtual, but hey, we make things work, we keep it going, right? That's what life is all about. So shout out to the entire team for putting this together and creating this space for us to come together and talk about different career fields. I first want to just talk about how I even got into journalism. This was not something I even thought was a career field. Growing up, a lot of times we're told to become doctors, lawyers, or engineers, and those are all great jobs. But for me, I always knew I loved connecting with people. I knew I loved listening to people's stories. And with journalism and the broadcast industry, you do that. I know a lot of times you see us on TV and you see us talking, but one of the most important skill sets of being a journalist is actually to listen to people's stories, to hear what they have to say, to learn about new policies in place, to listen to speakers and different people who weigh in on different topics. So just to answer some of the questions here about how I even got into this field was, again, just I used to work in the sports industry. So when I was in college, I did several internships. I used to shadow. Shadowing is basically when you ask someone to basically walk around with them at work. So especially you college students and high school students watching this, don't hesitate to reach out to somebody you know and say, hey, I'm really interested in getting into this career field. Could I potentially shadow you on the job? And that's basically asking them to shadow them at work or, to shadow them in their office or wherever they are. And so I did that a few times while I was in college with different TV reporters and different broadcast journalists. And, that ultimately led to me saying, you know what, I want to go back to school. I want to pursue a master's in journalism. And so I ended up doing that. I did my undergrad in business administration, came out, did a couple of positions, and then went back and did a master's in journalism from Northwestern University. And initially I thought I wanted to do sports journalism, but I traveled to South Africa and worked in DC and got to see different things. And I realized I do love sports, but I'm also interested in sort of journalism on a broader scale. And so that's what led me to working as a journalist and applying to a job in Southern Illinois. Some of you may recognize some of the clips that went viral. That was where I did the stories on Fasika and Gunna and just different Ethiopian and Eritrean holidays and stories. Those are very important to us and our family, and I had an opportunity to talk about it, so that's what I did. So just to rewind back, when I was moving to Southern Illinois, when I was trying to apply for that job, just to give you all an idea, I applied to more than 50 television stations, okay? I applied to more than 50 TV stations before I landed that opportunity. So another thing you need to realize that in life, you're going to hear no, you're going to get rejected, but guess what? That right opportunity will be waiting for you, and it'll be so amazing once you get to it. And it can feel discouraging sometimes. I'm not going to lie. That process of applying, and it's very tedious and it takes hours, but I promise you it will all work out in the end. It may not feel like it when you're in the moment, but eventually that right opportunity will come. And I never knew that right opportunity was going to be for me in Southern Illinois, where I would have the chance to, highlight so many different stories. And just to talk more about that position, a lot of times you see the glory, the glamorous, side of it on television, but there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes, okay? In many cases, we work as MMJs, which means a multimedia journalist, and you are responsible for shooting the interview, editing the interviews, and getting in front of the camera. So you're literally behind the camera and you're carrying around all that equipment, and you're going back to the studio to edit it, put it together, and be ready to be on TV at night or multiple times throughout the day. So it is, it's a lot of work in different ways, but it's so worth it. So to anyone trying to get into the field, know that it's not just about you being on TV. It's about you listening. It's about you interviewing, getting answers, doing research. You essentially become an expert on so many different topics because you are covering all sorts of stories. So, you'll learn that the internet is one of your best friends because you have to constantly verify and look into different stories and really get that factual information. So that's just a few different things there. I think I hit on some of the most difficult parts of it. Again, just knowing that you have to do a lot. You're multitasking in so many different ways. My advice to anyone: keep going. Know that you are not alone, and it will get better as you move forward. We all learn as we go on. I'm about to be 30 years old and I'm still learning every day. So know that life will continue to be a lifelong learning process, and that you will get to where you want to go. Just keep putting in the hard work. And I would just say, yeah, continue to network. Network is a huge factor in, it really makes a difference in terms of landing a job. Even though I applied to more than 50 TV stations, I did have, other opportunities that were presented to me just through my network too. So I have been able to take on different positions through networking and everything. And networking could be simply, shadowing, as I had mentioned earlier, or even going to conferences or summits or happy hours and just getting someone's LinkedIn or getting someone's, you don't always have to ask for the Instagram, or, you can be a little more formal and ask for that email address or LinkedIn. So that's just another piece of advice. But I'm so happy. Hopefully this helped a little bit. I just wanted to give a little small taste about the journalism, particularly the broadcast journalism side of things. And my information is Hannah Joy TV on all platforms. If you all are interested in staying connected, you can learn more about my platform at hannahjoytv.com. Wishing you all the best. To everyone watching this, I'm super proud of you, and continue learning, continue being a sponge, and more importantly, continue moving forward. Bye, everybody.
Hello, my name is Rotella O, and I'm currently a senior at Georgia State University. I'm currently pursuing a computer information systems degree. My best piece of advice to any high schoolers who have graduated and have no idea what they want to do is that it's definitely okay for the first year to just be undecided and to just take those general courses that allow you to figure out where your interest lies. It helps you dive in, it really does. I'm living proof of it. I was actually undecided for 2 years, not even one. But as far as the hardest part about college is definitely that it challenges you. And in a good way, though, because you can only grow from challenges, right? So definitely just push yourself and immerse yourself in the classes, more so than you did in high school even. And you'll just see so many new changes and an evolution of you, your character, and your life.
Hey guys, my name is Michael Asmalash. Very excited to shed some light on my background as a working professional. And a big shout out to Milan and to Mebrot for setting this up. I think it's very important for us to continue to learn and educate ourselves on different opportunities and backgrounds, not only for the young people, but for those of us who are well into our careers, right? You're never too old to continue to learn. And especially knowing that there's a stigma around, having to become a doctor, lawyer, engineer, and those are wonderful professionals, but there's so many other opportunities outside of that. So you're probably wondering why I'm dressed a bit casual, and that's because I'm wearing what you would call my work attire. I work in the music industry, and more particularly, I've been in the entertainment industry for about 7 to 8 years. More recently at Live Nation Entertainment as a senior manager of integrated marketing and partnership development. And you're probably wondering, what does that even mean? But essentially, I work with brands to develop partnerships around our Live Nation Entertainment ecosystem. And so Live Nation Entertainment has a lot of different products and offerings. So we have festivals across the United States. We produce and market concerts. We manage artists. We own live event venues or live music venues across the nation. So it's my job to figure out what is a compelling partnership and what is strategic for a brand based on what they want to accomplish. And how do I tell that story, or how do I convince that brand that they need to hand over all that money and partner with us? So that's been the nature of my background, not only at Live Nation, but as a entertainment professional, entertainment marketing professional for the last four years, more recently. And, one of the ways I feel like I'm making a big impact internally is leading the charge on all of our multicultural integrated marketing initiatives. So before I got to Live Nation, we didn't have a strategy around how we how we speak to our multicultural consumers, particularly African Americans, Hispanic Americans, and Asian Americans, and understanding the nuances within those different segments, and how does a brand become a part of that, right? Like how do we build a partnership unique to these consumers? Because we're all different, and so that's been very rewarding and very exciting. And it's gotten me a lot of visibility, which is great, and has afforded me the opportunity to relocate to London at in the upcoming months once we see through this pandemic. And speaking of this pandemic, that's also greatly affected our business because our bread and butter is around live events, so it's shifted how we approach the marketplace, the opportunities that we can sell to our advertisers and to our brands. So it's been a very interesting time just adapting and working with my teams internally, but still very grateful for the opportunity. And in terms of other industries I've worked in prior to Live Nation, I spent some time at NBC Universal, which is a TV media company, and then prior to that at Calvin Klein, which is a apparel fashion company. So again, very excited to have shared this information. And if you have any questions about any of the things that I just discussed, feel free to hit me up, and you can get my information from Milan and from Mabrat. Big thank you again to you two for setting this up, and I look forward to seeing you guys once this pandemic is over.
Hi everyone, my name is Nahom Alemsaged, and I'm going to tell you about my career. So I'm currently an assistant manager at Clockwork Concepts Incorporated, which is a marketing firm. So I guess let me start at the beginning to tell you guys how I got to where I am. So I started off as a marketing rep, pretty entry-level position where the responsibilities and tasks are pretty simple. At this point, I was really handling the sales and the marketing, and then pretty much learning how to manage myself. A lot of independence was expected at a very early stage. But anyways, with that being said, really this boils down into learning the skill of marketing, of sales. Can you take a product or a service, take it to a consumer and actually show them why it would benefit them, find out if it would benefit them genuinely, and then go ahead and allow them to have it. So once that side of things, I guess, was pretty much mastered and I get good at that, I got promoted into a supervisor position. At this point, this is where a lot more development started to take role, teaching, training, lesson planning, a lot more of the people aspect, right? Developing the people in the company, on my team, for example. Once I got really adept at that side of things and every aspect of that is when I got promoted again into assistant management. Now, assistant management, that really is when things started to take a shift. And that's when I started to handle more of the back end sides of things. So studying and analyzing the P&L margins. We're talking about HR, so hiring, firing, for preliminary, final interviews, handling office reports, and very importantly, client relations. So in terms of my impact with the company now, it really comes down to a lot of conversations. I have a lot of conversations with a lot of different people. I mean, now I'm handling more of the developmental aspect of really the business. And I would say that's my biggest role in the company is conversations, whether it's seeing if somebody could potentially be a good fit for our company in a preliminary interview, seeing if our initial thoughts in that preliminary interview were accurate, and seeing if we should offer them the position. Having conversations with more entry-level marketing reps, or all the way up to team leaders and another assistant manager, actually seeing what they can improve on, pointing out their weaknesses, pointing out their flaws, pointing out why they're not maybe at the position that they want to be at, right? Or deciding how to reward somebody that is doing all the right things. and that's probably the most satisfying thing with me is really the development. The reason that I've grown, I think, with the company as much as I have is the development within myself. I see myself develop greatly, whether it's through communication skills, marketing, time management, organizational, um, confidence, self-esteem. But seeing that development in someone else is by far, way more satisfying. And knowing that I had a huge part in that and I was a catalyst in that development, very satisfying for me, and that's what does it for me. Day in my life, to put it pretty simply, I come in the morning, I'll game plan with my manager, we'll do interviews, I might have a meeting or a presentation that I run, and then even with this new campaign that we're starting, a new client, I'll actually get out there and actually do some marketing if I get the chance. I like to get outside the office and see some sun. That's myself in a nutshell. You guys have a good one.
Hi everyone, my name is Meles Desta and I'm a reporting analyst with Warner Media. Warner Media is a multinational mass media company. We're the combination of HBO, Warner Brothers, and Turner, who are responsible for TNT, TBS, CNN, Cartoon Network, and a lot of other networks. Most recently, our company dropped a new streaming service called HBO Max that has film and TV shows from all these different businesses. Odds are you've probably watched something that's made by this company. Now, I'm a reporting analyst for our accounts receivable department. Accounts receivable is essentially money that our customers owe us for services and products that we provided. My role is that I report on the bills or invoices that go to customers, how much customers still owe us for these bills, and how much cash that we collect from these customers. Now, all of these bills or invoices or cash that we collect from the customers all flow into a database. A database is basically a software or application that holds or stores all of our financial data. Now, the data that's in a database will look something like this. You'll have lines of all of these transactions, the orders, invoices, bills that customers have, and then the payments that we get from them. Now, if you wanted to answer a question like, what does this customer still owe me? Then it'd be kind of hard to figure that out just by looking at this data, because one customer could have about thousands of invoices. So you'd be sitting here sifting through all these lines and trying to add that up. That's ridiculous. No one has time for that. But that's where the reporting comes in. We get this mess of data right here and turn it into something like this. We create these tables, charts, and visuals that help summarize the data to help answer questions like, how much do all these different customers still owe us? We can also show helpful trends or patterns that can help us predict when customers are going to pay us. All of this really helps us manage our accounts receivable and collections better. Now, let's talk about the expected pay for this kind of role as a reporting analyst. So the salary range you're looking at for a reporting analyst is going to be anywhere from $50,000 to about $80,000 a year. And if you're starting out, you're probably going to be on closer to that lower end of the range. Now, for the skills and qualifications required, usually they require very strong technical skills. There's a lot of these different applications and tools that reporting analysts will use to extract the data from these databases and then put them and combine them into these reports. And all these different applications have some kind of code-like language that you'll use to make the reports. It's also very important to have good analytical and quantitative skills and to have really strong attention to detail. Now, for education, it's required to have a bachelor's degree in some sort of quantitative field. So finance or business, economics, IT, statistics, or something that's related. Also, it really helps if you've had an internship while you're in college. Now, I'm going to leave you all with a piece of advice about getting internships. Go to Google, look up a job that you want, see the skills that they require, and start learning those skills now. These internships and jobs are very competitive, and if you start learning those skills early, you're putting yourself ahead of the competition. Also, if you learn these skills early, you can get an internship during your early years in college, during your freshman or even sophomore year. And the earlier that you get these internships, the more years of on-the-job experience that you have. And you're setting yourself up for a very successful career in the future.
Hi, my name is Mavrat Geber-Mikkel. I'm a senior sales manager with CSX Transportation, the #1 railroad in the United States. My job is exciting. I work with companies every day that bring products into your homes and your businesses. For example, we ship plastic pellets that go into water bottles and containers, hydrogen peroxide and bleach that go into cleaning materials. We even ship oranges to make orange juice. During this COVID-19 pandemic, many of my customers are supplying the raw materials and products that support frontline health workers. For example, one of my customers produces ethanol that is used to make hand sanitizer. As a sales manager, my day-to-day responsibilities include communicating with customers, tracking their rail cars with customer service to make sure that their cars arrive at their destination, and providing key data points about their business. I generate reports, I make presentations, and I negotiate multi-million-dollar business deals. I also travel a lot, visiting with customers, entertaining customers to build relationships, and attending conference and industry events, which I really enjoy. My salary is not that bad either. Find a profession or a career that you are passionate about that can make a positive impact in your life and in the life of others and pays you well enough to enjoy your life.
Hello, my name is Hayalam Tadessa, and I am the Director of Enterprise Data Management within our global technology or even our IT organization. I work for a company called Iron Mountain, who is the leader in information management, and I've been with them for over 12 years, holding many different positions. We help companies like hospitals, banks, law firms, and governments around the world manage and protect their sensitive information. For example, when you go visit your doctor, they normally pull out a piece of paper or a file that keeps track of all your record. Either you or your parent will sign that, and when you're done, they will file that away. What we do as a company is come, pick up that information, take it to our secure facility or warehouses all around the world, and have it in a secured environment. We do this for not just hospitals, but for all those other industries that I mentioned. And in my current position as a Director of Enterprise Data, my responsibility, and some of you may have heard about this, is big data. So I work and build on strategy and multi-year roadmaps, conduct stakeholder management, work with our executive teams to figure out what data is most important to them. I oversee a multi-million-dollar budget, manage a cross-functional team of software engineers, solution architects, project managers, as well as analysts. And I also partner with companies like Google so that we can leverage their cloud technology because it's scaled, has really good performance, it's very robust technology versus what they consider on-prem solutions where for master data management so that our leaders can have access to data that they need to make decisions that will help us grow our revenue, improve our profitability, improve our customer experience, and much, much more. And I'm also a person who is very passionate about making a difference. So I found something within the company that really excites me as well, because I get to help people in their day-to-day life. So I serve as the chair for our employee resource group, in particular, helping our Black employees within the company, and also as a leading advisor for our Chief Diversity Officer to think about what are the solutions that we need to have in place to make sure the minority communities, the minority employees like Hispanics and African Americans and women, LGBT, are able to have an environment where they can succeed. And my advice to you is this. So there are always questions that is asked to young people. one of the probably most prominent one is, what are you going to do when you grow up? If you know the answer to that question, that's great. Study well, do it to the best of your ability, network, and make sure that you excel at the highest level. And if you don't know the answer to that, that is okay too. I didn't know the answer to what I wanted to be when I grew up. I learned that over time through experience. So for those of you who do not know, or even if you do know, make sure that you get as much experience as you possibly can very early in your whether you're in college or just very early in your career. So do internships or start working, because companies really value people who have experience. It's one thing to have knowledge as well as a college degree or even a master's degree. But what companies also value even more, just as much, is somebody who has experience, so they don't have to teach them on how to work. And also, it's very important that you network. One of the things that I've seen in my own experience, or even in others who are succeeding or are reaching different, higher elevations within the organization, is that they do networking really, really well. Most people find positions because they know somebody within that company. And also, if you still don't know what you want to do, understand that corporations have many, many, many different positions. It's not just the financial industry, the health industry. Sometimes you don't even have to pick an industry. For example, in my company, we have HR. If you are somebody who really wants to help people, you can join our HR team. If you're somebody who's very creative, you can join the marketing team. If you're somebody who likes to talk to people and engage and get them excited about products or even selling, you can join our sales organization. If you like numbers, you can join our finance or accounting. If you like technology and you like to code, then there's a massive IT organization. So there are millions of jobs that are available out there, and you will find your way. I hope this serves you and you're able to learn from this. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Hadia Gibber-Michael, and I am a technical support engineer, and I work with Benchmark Technology Group. I'm originally from Lakewood, Colorado, but I currently reside now in Roswell, Georgia, and I moved out here for work. So what is Benchmark Technology? What do I do, essentially? Benchmark Technology is a company that creates mobile check deposit software and creates the paninis for banks to use to upload physical checks. So when you take a picture of your check to put into your bank, it scans through the system, and that system that it goes to is a third-party system. That's me. So I create the software, see if it's going to go through, if there's coding, if there's an error message, whatever happens with that bank, they call my group, right? And when they contact us, I also manage 20 to 30 interns. And these are software's installers, and it's based off of the different projects that we have, and the projects are based off of the individual banks. So for example, we have a project now with Ameris Bank, right? And they're using our mobile check paninis, and there's 6 different types of paninis. We have a warehouse that builds the machines, and what you do is you ship it out to the bank, and once the bank receives it, they have to be able to update the software, but they don't know how. So they call us. They call my installers, and those installers are trained by me to be able to show them remote into their computer on how to be able to download the software and scan the checks that the customers bring in. And then once it's loaded into the system, the bank will keep it for a certain amount of time. But the paninis, they pretty much keep it for as long as they want. Our software is always updating. Our physical mobile check paninis are constantly updating as well. Softwares that get installed on those are part of my group as well. So I deal with anything with software, hardware, network, any technical related issues when it comes to computers, right? And so my day-to-day is I come in, I say hello to all of my interns, and I go sit down, get my emails, and I kind of chat one-on-one, what's going on with this project, have we finished this ticket, and it's a number of tickets that we do per day. So some of the interns do anywhere from 10 to 20 tickets, right? And that's in an 8-hour time span from their shift. So once they go through that, let's say if they have a question or there's an issue and there's an error code that they can't resolve, it gets escalated to me, right? And those clients are banks that we work with directly. And once it gets escalated, it's always gotten resolved. And then once it gets resolved, that's where we kind of build that relationship with that bank going forward so that they continue to use our machines, right, and our services, because that's essentially what they do pay for. So another thing that I do as well is that if any of my employees that are in the sales group or in HR and they're having any type of computer issues, or if a server is down, who do they contact? Me. So I'm kind of the go-to. It's a small group. Benchmark technology has been around for a little over 50 years. But you know what? It's fun. It's challenging. Keeps me on my toes. The great thing about IT and computers is that there is always a demand. Like, imagine it. Any job that you can think of works with computers. But who builds those softwares? Who creates them? They go through a third party, or they hire people to come into their companies to be able to help and create and program and code, figure out what the network is, the hardware, the actual PC of the computer if it's not working. That's what I deal with. So I'm very hands-on. So I enjoy it. I definitely want to further my career and continue to go. Who knows? Maybe I might go with Google. Maybe I might go with Amazon. Another thing with IT is that you do want to get your certifications. It's huge. You want to be able to get the certifications so that those larger companies can see that you have that certification and you have that experience. So I love it. I enjoy it. Once again, my name is Hadia Geber-Michael, and I hope you guys take a look at IT. If you're interested, you're more than welcome to reach out to me directly. I'm sure you can reach out to Mebrat. Mebrat is my older sister. Or you'll see me within the TCA community out here in Georgia. Either way, love you guys. Have a great day. Bye.
Hey everyone, my name is Al McConan and I'm a software engineer for Bank of America. Currently, I work on Bank of America's mobile app assistant named Erica. You could think of Erica like Google Home Assistant or even Amazon Alexa, but just more for the banking world. My typical day-to-day at work usually consists of morning stand-up calls. This is where I update the team on the status of my project, modifying and updating new code, as well as coordinating with my team members. Now, my team members can be anywhere in the United States and in India. The main skill set that you need to have in order to become a software engineer is most definitely learning a computer programming language, but it doesn't stop there. In order for you to become a very successful software engineer, it's definitely learning more than one language. For example, I know Java, CSS, HTML, JavaScript, and PowerShell, with plans of learning Python and C# in the near future. Other important skill sets that you need to have in order to become a very successful software engineer is verbal and written communication, being able to think outside the box, and as well as learning some of the software development philosophies. The reason why I love my job so much is because I truly have an impact on people's lives. Mobile banking is becoming very popular. Bank of America has 30 million users, and so it's important that the app is working 24/7. One recent example on how I've made an impact on people's day-to-day lives deals with the coronavirus pandemic. It was the responsibility of my team and I to teach Erica how to respond to the stimulus check questions that our users might have. And this is my last message to you guys. Don't ever be afraid of change. I got my bachelor's in chemistry. I've worked in the science field for 3 years. I've dealt with DNA, medication, and medical devices. But the thing was, I wasn't happy. I was comfortable. I was able to do the work without thinking, but I definitely wasn't happy. So I knew change needed to happen. Yeah, it was hard for me to let go of a 4-year degree that I worked on. But at the same time, if I'm going to work and I'm truly not happy, then it's something that I'll dread every morning when I wake up. Making this career change into IT has been the best decision I ever made in my life. So please, please, please don't ever be afraid of change. Change could definitely lead you to a better path.
Hey everyone, my name is Blaine Solomon and I am a civil engineer with a focus in transportation. I work for Jacobs Engineering Group, which is the #1 engineering design firm in the nation. We also have global offices which utilize other disciplines of engineering as well. Now, on a day-to-day, I would characterize my job as, I am a consultant to a city and we handle all of their construction projects. This means estimating costs, drawing concepts, engineering design plans for vehicular and pedestrian traffic, everything of that sort. This can include, roadway projects, widenings, roundabouts, sidewalks and trails, drainage projects, turn lanes, anything that you can think of that would go on in a city. As a manager for these types of projects, my day-to-day includes a lot of things. It could be ensuring that the designs are correct or that the quantities are proper for construction using MicroStation, which is a CAD software, or coordinating utility movements, setting up meetings with property owners that may have been impacted, and most importantly, preparing presentations for the city government so that they can decide whether to approve a project or not. Now, I got into transportation after completing a year at Georgia Tech. Initially, I had wanted to go into dentistry, but I quickly realized that I was not as dedicated as I thought I was to the field. So those first 2 years of college, I would say, are critical to kind of making that shift if you want to. Now, again, I got into transportation because I really like to see something go from the very beginning to the end. For example, Atlanta's traffic is pretty bad, and being able to see that and the problem that plagues my own community, I get to gather data, project it into the future, and see whether is this area growing, has it been growing in the past, and how can we apply that to our design guidelines to either change the roadway, redirect traffic, things like that. So you get to help people move from place to place with greater efficiency. For a role of this type, you would need to graduate from an ABET accredited school. Again, I went to Georgia Tech. You also need to be interested in obtaining your engineer in training license as well as your professional engineer's license. And as far as salary goes, as an entry-level engineer, you would expect to make between about $65,000 to $80,000. And of course, as your experience grows, it can increase from there. As you start to manage projects, then it can go up to $100,000. And then if you become a program manager, it can grow as well from there. Like I said, this wasn't my first career choice, but what helped me a lot was internships. Internships are key, okay? Everyone should get one. Getting any type of experience is good and helpful. You might surprise yourself, you might like the field that you kind of happened upon, or you might say, this is not what I want to do. So any type of experience I would recommend. What was the most difficult or most rewarding part of your job? I would say the most difficult is that I skipped a phase that a lot of entry-level engineers go through, which is the technical design aspect. I kind of jumped automatically into project management, and it has been rewarding in a way that I am able to understand what it takes to get a project done from beginning to end. On the flip side, it's a little bit frustrating at times because when I'm reviewing plans, there are things that I kind of look over because I wasn't aware to look for them. But that's what your mentors are for, having people that you are comfortable with in your workplace. Traits that I think would fit well with this career, that would include determination, somebody who is purposeful with their time, and that really goes for any career. Just making sure that you yourself are into what you're doing, the people that you're around. I honestly think that's the best part of work, and other people will see that and respect you for the work that you produce as well as the time that you take to learn those skills. And that's all I have, but if any of you guys have any questions, you can always reach out to me.
Hi guys, my name is Mila Desta, and I'm a veterinary receptionist at Brookhaven Animal Hospital. Some of my day-to-day activities include picking up phone calls, creating appointments and surgeries for doctors and technicians. I prepare medication refill requests, get food together, anything that the doctors or technicians may need administrative wise, that's me. Some of the characteristics that are very important to have in this field is, one, you have to be able to strive under stressful environments. It's a really fast-paced business. You are dealing with lives, so as long as you're able to keep your cool under pressure, you're okay. Second, you have to be patient. Many pet parents don't know too much about cats or dogs. That's our job to tell them. So they'll have a lot of questions and you just have to be very patient with them. Some of the best and most rewarding parts of my job. One, obviously, the cats and the dogs that I get to play with. And two, I watch doctors save lives all the time. It's really rewarding. It's so fascinating to see. The most difficult part of my job would have to be sometimes you have stressed out clients. Because they're stressed out, they do take out their anger on you. But you have to remember that they're looking out in the best interest of their pet. The way that I got this job is I know Sarah. Sarah works here, and funny enough, I actually did not like cats or dogs when I first got this job. So obviously it was not my first choice of jobs. but I'm very grateful to work here. I get to do ear cytologies, I get to read blood work, fill medications, I get to learn a lot about the medical field. Even though it's for animals, it still relates a lot to the human field, and that is what I want to pursue. Another thing I'm here to tell you all about is veterinary management. Though I'm not a veterinary manager, I have worked with many in the past. And I do know that you can go to RVT school, which is technician school, to become a manager. You just have to have a little bit of experience. Or you can get a major in biology or in zoology. And if you're not really too interested in doing the hands-on at the animal hospital, you can definitely do more administrative higher up work. It's really important for you to do a job that you're passionate about. Even if it's just for temporary, like you're just in school trying to make money, you have to be happy about where you work. And it's really hard not to be happy around cats or dogs.
Hi, my name is Kidan Andreas, and I work as an EMT, an emergency medical technician. As an EMT, I work to transport patients to and from the hospital or to dialysis clinics. An EMT is an entry position into the medical field, so for anyone that wants to pursue medicine as a nurse, physician assistant, or a doctor, EMT is a good way to get patient contact hours and spend some time caring for patients. So to become an EMT, all you need is a high school degree and then 6 to 12 months of EMT school for certification. And during your training, you're going to learn basics about the human body, different medications you can give, and then how to give IVs. The most rewarding part of the job is being able to help patients when they're in a vulnerable state. I also find it rewarding to be able to make meaningful connections with patients. And also the most rewarding thing to me was being able to take information that I've learned in class and then be able to apply it to different health-related situations. The most difficult part would be seeing people at their worst. No one calls 911 because they're having a good day. So sometimes they can take out their frustrations on you. So you have to be able to remain calm under stressful situations. And then also you have to be able to be very open and understanding to people's backgrounds, as most people probably don't have a similar background as you. And then also knowing when to ask for help if a situation is above your level.
Hi, my name is Tigasti Abraha, and I'm currently studying to become a certified phlebotomist. Phlebotomy is the drawing of blood from the veins. We usually use the veins here in the arms, but we can also use veins in the hands as well as the fingers. There are technical programs to help people become certified phlebotomists, some as short as 6 weeks, but some as long as 6 months. Phlebotomists are usually found in hospitals, but they can also work in places like plasma centers and also with blood donations like the Red Cross. What is the most difficult part? The most difficult part of being a phlebotomist, I would say, is that because people have different shapes and sizes, it may be hard to find the veins in some people's arms compared to others. Another challenging thing is that because we're working with needles, we might have a patient who's scared of needles, so it's our job to make sure that they're relaxed and calm before drawing the blood from them. Why are they important? Phlebotomists are important because coming to the hospitals, doctors do not know what's wrong with the patient. So the first thing that they will do is order blood work. So it's our job to get the blood to make sure that the procedure goes nice and smoothly so that the results from the blood test can be as accurate as possible.
Hello, my name is Mattios Elias. I'm going to be talking to you guys about my time in the Air Force. For my job particularly, I'm referred to as a human intelligence specialist. Personally, that means that I consolidate information so that I can disperse that to higher-ups so they can make decisions that are in the best interest of the Air Force. Those information that I give them can vary between logistical, geographical, personnel, their morale, and through this, the higher-ups make their decision based on the information that I provide. So essentially my time frame as far as what needs to happen to get to the position that I am in the Air Force, you have to first go through something called basic military training, or BMT. This is about 8.5 weeks, and through that you'll be tested physically, mentally, emotionally, so that you're ready for when you go out into that deployed location. Then after that, there's something that is called technical training, and for my job in particular, it takes about 3.5 to 4 months. Through this training, it's essentially college, basically. You're going to go to classes, you're going to have professors, you're going to have a dormitory, and during this time, you're going to learn what it means to do your job. Now, this can vary between quizzes, exams, computer work. For me personally, I did a lot of PowerPoint and Excel and learning how to use them properly, but for different jobs, as I said, it can vary. But for me, there's 3 different facets within the Air Force. There's active duty, there's reserve, and there's guard. I'm going to talk about them for a little bit. For active duty is where a majority of people who do my job go through. Through this, once you graduate technical training, you'll be assigned a duty station. This can range between South Korea, Japan, Germany, South Africa, and the United States, and there's many more bases, but those are just to name a few. So you can wind up anywhere in the world, basically. When it comes to reserve components, you'll work at the closest base to your house that has your job, essentially. That's how they select your duty station. Now, with people in the reserve, if you're really trying to finish your education, like you really want to go to college like how I wanted, that's the best option because it offers the most for you as far as attaining your degree, and you get to stay at home. A reservist is essentially a civilian airman. You have a civilian life, but you can be called into the military. Now, a guard slightly differs from a reservist. They do have a lot of the educational benefits that the reservists have, but the biggest difference is, as a reservist, you most likely will be deployed to locations outside of the United States. But with a guard, most likely you're going to be deployed to locations within the United States. My name is Matt Elias. Thank you so much for listening to what I have to say. Have a nice day. Bye.
All right, guys. Well, that concludes our Career Day video presentations. I want to thank you all so much for taking time out to watch these videos, and a special shout out to each and every individual that presented for us. They took out of their busy days and busy schedules to make these videos for you all. I hope that you all as viewers have learned that there's more than just the typical lawyer, doctor, engineer that our parents taught us about. Not that there's anything wrong with those jobs. We just want you all to know that there's many options outside, and we're here to teach them to you. If you all have any questions, feel free to contact us, and please give us feedback. We want to do this again. So if you want to know anything else about any of the professions that we mentioned today, or if there's a particular profession that you would like to learn more about, give us a shout out. All right, guys, have a great one.